Imagine, 300,000 years ago, no cities, no governments, no laws, no rings, no weddings, just small groups of ancient humans trying to survive another day. Every sunrise was uncertain. Every sunset was a victory. Food was never guaranteed. Predators were everywhere. A single mistake could mean death. Now imagine you're one of those ancient humans. You finally find someone you trust. You hunt together. You gather food together. You sleep beside the same fire every night. But one morning, they're gone. Maybe they left with another group. Maybe they found someone stronger. Maybe they simply walked away. And suddenly, everything becomes harder. You lose a hunting partner. You lose someone who watched your back while you slept. If you already had children, their chances of surviving become much smaller. Because unlike baby deer or baby horses, human babies are unbelievably helpless. A newborn human can't walk, can't feed itself, can't even survive without constant care for years. That created a problem no other animal had faced quite like humans. Raising one child often required two adults, sometimes even an entire group. So the biggest question wasn't, who do I love? It was, who will stay? And that's where one of humanity's greatest inventions slowly began. Not because people wanted romance, not because they wanted beautiful weddings, but because survival demanded commitment. Long before written history, ancient humans started forming long-term pair bonds. Not perfect, not permanent, but stable enough that children had a much better chance of reaching adulthood. Anthropologists believe these partnerships slowly became stronger as human brains grew larger. A larger brain meant smarter humans, but it also meant babies had to be born earlier, before their heads became too big for childbirth. That made human infants even more dependent than before. Parents couldn't simply walk away after a few weeks. They needed years of cooperation. And over thousands of generations, something fascinating happened. The human brain itself started rewarding long-term bonding. Chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine made trust, affection, and emotional attachment feel good. Love wasn't replacing survival. Love was becoming part of survival itself. But here's the strange part. Even then, there was still no marriage. No ceremonies. No priests. No legal documents. No wedding dresses. So if ancient humans were already forming lifelong partnerships, why did they eventually invent marriage? And why did almost every civilization on Earth, even one separated by oceans, end up creating surprisingly similar marriage traditions? The answer has almost nothing to do with romance, and everything to do with property, power, and something every human desperately wanted to protect. But protecting children was only part of the story. As ancient humans became better hunters, they also began collecting valuable things. Better tools, animal skins, weapons, food supplies, later, land and livestock. For the first time in history, humans had something worth owning. And once people owned something, a new question appeared. Who would inherit it? Imagine spending your entire life hunting, building shelter, protecting your family and collecting resources. You wouldn't want everything to disappear after you died. You would want it to stay with your own children. But how could anyone know which children truly belonged to whom? That's where marriage slowly became more than just a relationship. It became a social agreement, public promise, a way for an entire tribe to recognize two people as partners. Marriage wasn't created in a single day by one civilization. It evolved independently across many cultures because different societies kept facing the same problem. They needed stability. They needed trust. They needed clear family structures. Over thousands of years, marriage became connected to inheritance, cooperation, and survival. But something even more surprising was happening inside the human brain. Humans are one of the few species that build their entire lives around shared memories. We don't just survive together. We tell stories together. We plan together. We dream about the future together. Marriage became a symbol of that long-term thinking. It allowed two people to invest in a future that didn't even exist yet. Building homes, raising children, sharing responsibilities, protecting each other during illness, famine, and danger. Love slowly became stronger because commitment created emotional security. And emotional security helped children survive. Scientists today believe pair bonding gave early humans a huge evolutionary advantage. Children raised with long-term care learned more skills, survived more often, and eventually raised healthier families of their own. Generation after generation, that advantage spread across humanity. That's why marriage survived while countless other traditions disappeared. It kept changing with every civilization. Ancient Egypt had its customs. Ancient Rome had different rules. Medieval Europe changed it again. Modern societies continue to redefine it today. But underneath every ceremony, every wedding ring, every celebration, the original purpose remained surprisingly simple. Help two people stay together long enough to give the next generation a better chance of surviving. So, did humans invent marriage because of love? Not exactly. Love made marriage stronger, but survival made marriage necessary. Without cooperation, our ancestors may never have raised children successfully enough to build villages, cities, and civilizations. One simple promise between two people slowly became one of the strongest foundations of human society. And maybe that's the most fascinating part of all. Marriage didn't change humanity. Humanity changed marriage. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden story behind one of the oldest human traditions, subscribe and join us as we explore more forgotten secrets of ancient humans. Because every ordinary thing we do today has an extraordinary story waiting in the past.